committee will come to order. Let the record show that a full quorum of the committee is present. We have before us an application for permanent entry, 578-293-BO21. Is the applicant present?
I'm ready.
There are a number of rules governing the conduct of these hearings. It is our purpose on this committee...
point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, I was about to inform you
I believe
of
my
the
point
rules.
of order takes precedence.
As I understand it, the point of order is usually raised in connection with procedure.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Since I have not yet informed you of the rules, I fail to see how a point of order...
Mr. Chairman, my point of order is not raised in connection with rules of procedure. It goes much deeper than that. The competency of this committee to conduct an investigation.
Sir, you have raised a point...
Please do not interrupt.
But the committee has already considered your proposal.
Mr. Chairman, I must insist that I be allowed to finish my point of order without interruption from the chair.
Oh, very well.
Today, I am prepared to bring specific charges concerning the fitness of a certain member of this committee to sit in judgment upon me or any applicant.
That is a very serious charge.
Mr. Chairman, may I suggest you ask me against whom these charges are being preferred?
Yes, I was about to do so. Against whom are you preferring these charges?
I bring these charges, which have proven, and I have no doubt that they will be fully substantiated, in which event the member of the committee who has been found to be derelict in his duty should be removed from this committee. I think you'll agree to that, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly. Any member who's been proven to be unfit to serve on this committee will not be allowed to continue to sit upon it. But will you please state against whom you are bringing these charges?
Against the chairman of this committee, the gatekeeper.
You charge me with unfitness? That is preposterous.
Mr. Chairman.
It's ridiculous. It's completely
Mr. Chairman.
The applicant will be seated, and the hearing in his case will proceed.
Mr. Chairman.
You are out of order.
Mr. Chairman.
You are out of order.
Mr. Chairman, I cannot accept that ruling. You stated just now, did you not, that any member of the committee who is proven to be unfit will be removed?
Yes, I did. However...
The statement carried the clear implication that charges of such a nature, in order to be proven or disproven, must first be fully heard.
Yes, in the
sense...
sense...
And yet, when you learn that these charges are directed against yourself, you refuse arbitrarily to even hear these charges. Now, I ask you, sir, was your first statement a true statement of the position of this committee with respect to the airing of charges of unfitness in connection with any member and his consequent removal from this committee in the event such charges were found to be true? And if it is true, then is your second statement to the effect that I am out of order in preferring charges against you consistent, please, this won't take me a moment, consistent with the first statement alluded to? Or did you mean in your earlier statement to exclude yourself from the category of members against whom charges can be preferred? And if that was the meaning of the statement, upon what precedent do you base such a flagrantly improper ruling?
Well, I don't follow your question.
Oh, now, come, you know that's a perfectly simple question. Is your statement true? The statement that proven charges of unfitness would result in removal of the member concerned?
The first statement?
Or were you lying?
How dare you accuse me of lying?
Then it was true.
It most certainly was.
Then how do you reconcile it with your present position?
I merely stated...
You must realize that it cannot be reconciled. Unless, of course, you were deliberately creating a false impression.
I deny that. I was stating the truth.
I'm glad to hear you so positive about it. If, as you say, you're telling the truth, then you do not, in fact, you cannot refuse to consider charges against any member of this committee, including yourself.
Well, that would seem to be...
I'm not asking you what it seems to be. I'm asking you to state the position of the chair. Are you refusing now to allow me to air these charges?
No, of course not. That would not be consistent. I concede that. But I am objecting on grounds of proper procedure. I am the chairman of this committee. You now propose to investigate me. Clearly, as long as I am in the chair, it would be most improper.
I agree completely.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Dr. Oates?
May I suggest that the matter would be expedited in the interests of propriety best served if you were to relinquish the chair temporarily while these charges are placed before the committee. Would this be satisfactory to the applicant?
I have no objection whatsoever.
Well, it's completely without precedent. However, if it will expedite matters, Dr. Oates, will you take the chair?
I shall consider it a privilege.
Most unusual.
You may proceed with your charges.
I wish to call as my first witness Inspector Martin of the Immigration Service.
Is Inspector Martin present?
I am, sir.
You may proceed with your examination of the witness.
Inspector Martin, I have just a few questions. I'm sure you can answer them quite easily. Were you the officer who conducted me to the gatekeeper's office yesterday?
I was.
Were you present throughout the interview?
I was.
Isn't it a fact that the gatekeeper stated at that time that there was gross inefficiency in the Immigration Service?
Well, what he meant was that...
I'm not asking you what he meant. Confine yourself to the facts. Is it a fact that he said there was gross inefficiency?
Well, yes, he did, but...
Those were his exact words, gross inefficiency.
He did use those words.
In reference to the Immigration Service, of which he is the head.
Yes, but if I may say
There's no need for statements. Confine yourself to answering my questions. Now then, did he also make a statement at that time to the effect that the way things were going in the Immigration Service, you can get away with anything nowadays?
I think he said something like that.
You think? Isn't it a fact that those were his exact words? You can get away with anything.
Well, he may have...
Oh, come now, you're hedging, Martin. Did he say it or didn't he? Yes or no?
Yes, he used those words.
Did he also make a statement? Did he also make a statement to the effect that he feels unable to cope with the disorganized state of the Immigration Service and that he felt he should hand in his resignation? Is that true?
Well, that's true to an extent.
To what extent? He complained about the disorganization of the service?
Yes.
And he made a statement about handing in his resignation?
Yes, he did.
Then your answer to my previous question, which was, that's true to an extent, was not a completely truthful answer.
Well, if you want to put it that way...
I am putting it that way. Your answer to my question as to what extent the statement I attributed to the gatekeeper is true should have been that it isn't entirely true.
Well, I suppose it should have been.
Then you were lying.
No, sir, I was not lying.
Not deliberately, Inspector. Let's say you're confused.
Yes, I suppose I was.
On reconsidering the question, then, and take all the time you want before you answer, you would say that it is entirely and completely true that the gatekeeper made all the statements attributed to him. Please answer the question.
Yes, it is entirely true.
Sir, you've heard the testimony of the previous witness.
Yes.
Was his testimony true?
Well, I want to be fair to Inspector Martin.
I think up till now we've all been so.
I would say that his testimony is true insofar as the actual words are used. However, the intent...
I think the committee can draw its own conclusions as to the intent.
Well, that may be, sir, but the point is...
The point is that you actually used those words.
Well, yes, I must say I did.
Very well, then. If, as you admit, your department is grossly inefficient...
Well, I do not admit it.
Is it not possible that certain subversive individuals have managed to infiltrate up here by taking advantage of this laxness and gaining permanent entry?
That is absolutely impossible. I deny it.
You deny they have gained entry by taking advantage of your laxness? How, then, did these subversives gain entry?
Well, they got in... I deny that any subversive elements gained entry at all. I never said they did.
But if certain undesirable elements have infiltrated here, you admit the responsibility would be yours and yours alone.
Yes, it would. But I again deny that such a thing is possible. Every applicant must undergo the usual routine investigation.
Routine? Don't you think the applications of, let us say, of heretics, dissenters, rebels, many of them with prison records, should be given more than routine consideration?
Sir, I
Don't
would
you
like...
think you should have exercised the most careful vigilance in cases of this kind?
Sir, the
That
only
you should have subjected such individuals to the most intensive scrutiny?
All our investigations follow the standard pattern. That is what I meant by routine.
In other words, you admit that cases of individuals most likely to be subversive up here were investigated with no more thoroughness than you would use in the case, say, of an applicant whose record was without a blemish.
I did not consider it necessary.
What was your motive in coddling known subversives?
There was no evidence that any of them were subversive.
You deny the possibility that a more complete investigation would have brought forth facts that would have possibly exposed their affiliations with a foreign power? Do you deny that possibility?
How can I answer?
Do you deny that possibility?
I cannot answer such a question. No one can.
Then you do not deny such a possibility.
Obviously, I cannot deny it. I neither deny it nor admit it.
Can you deny it?
No matter how many times you ask me that question, my answer
Mr. Chairman,
must
the witness
be
is not being
that
responsive. I ask that the chair direct him to answer the
I
question.
protest, Mr. Chairman. The nature of the question is such
In
that...
the opinion of the chair, the question is a proper one. Witness is directed to answer.
Can you deny such a possibility?
I neither deny nor admit it.
But you do not deny it?
No, I do not deny it.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, in view of the admission of gross inefficiency by the gatekeeper, in view of the fact that he cannot deny there's a possibility that subversive persons likely to be agents of a foreign power, by taking advantage of the gatekeeper's laxness, if indeed it is mere laxness and not deliberate and treasonable coddling of such persons, have succeeded in infiltrating up here for the purpose of undermining our way of life. In view of these facts, this committee has no alternative but to reopen for complete and thorough investigation a number of
I
cases.
protest.
Specifically,
This is a
I have in
deliberate
mind
attempt to
such known-
discredit the Immigration Service.
Chairman,
I
let me
insist
finish,
that
please.
we proceed with the regular business of the committee.
May I remind the
immediately.
gatekeeper that he has temporarily relinquished the chair.
Mr. Chairman, I appeal to you. How much longer are the members of this committee going to tolerate these disruptive tactics?
The chair agrees that this committee has no alternative but to reopen a number of cases in order to determine the truth of the allegations which have been made. It therefore
I
rules-
will not be a party to any such undertaking. I will resign first.
If the gatekeeper feels that this is the only honorable course open to
That is exactly how I feel. I'm resigning. Do you hear? I resign. I resign.